Governor Sani of Kaduna State announced some kind of amnesty for repentant bandits. He says his administration is building trust in the state. And tonight, we will be telling you about the Athena Center's report on the Edo governorship elections, the outcome and the analysis and their findings. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimaloye in Abuja. Well, it looks like a move that you may describe as an amnesty. The Kaduna State Governor, Senator Sani, has received some repentant bandits, with the governor hoping that the move will help build trust in the people of the state. The state government says it is collaborating with some federal agencies and have established what is called the Peace Dialogue Group, which has been engaging stakeholders tirelessly. Governor Sani is pledged to ensure fairness and justice for all residents, including farmers, herders, and traders, as part of efforts to foster lasting peace and development in the state. It was yesterday that he received the first group of repentant bandits and reopened the cattle market, which had been shut for nearly a decade due to insecurity. Take a listen to part of what the governor said to the repentant bandit and some of the residents of that area.
This administration is here to listen, to act, and to ensure justice for everyone: farmers, herders, traders, and all residents of Kaduna State. The Peace Dialogue Group, established with the Kaduna State government in collaboration with the federal agencies and security services, have been working tirelessly to engage all stakeholders. Through numerous meetings and extensive discussions, we have built bridges of trust. Several senior bandits leaders have laid down their arms and embraced peace, along with their followers. These individuals have been enrolled in a rehabilitation program designed by the Kaduna State government in partnership with the federal government.
All right, we'll be getting insight into the reasons and decisions of the governor of the state in receiving or accepting these repentant bandits, and what could become the outcome in the coming days. Bro, of course, on the program also tonight, we'll be giving you insight into the report by the Athena Center on the Edo governorship election. They've made some revelations on what they found out in the elections, some of the issues raised in the elections, and perhaps what INEC needs to look into critically. What are the reports or the results of the election properly collated and properly announced or returned? We'll be getting insight into what Athena Center have found out and reported. You'd remember that some months ago, I had the Athena Center speak about the Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa election and telling us the propriety or otherwise of the electoral process in those three states. Let's take a quick break, and when we return, it'll be time to speak on the repentant bandits in Kaduna State and the move of the governor, Sani, to have received them in the state. We'll be right back, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's get to one of our major stories tonight. It's about the situation in Kaduna State and the move by Senator Sani, the governor of Kaduna State, in what has looked like an amnesty for repentant bandits, and some of the reasons why he is taking that move. I'm being joined from Kaduna by Senator Sani, the governor of Kaduna State. He's live for us. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight. Let's begin by knowing what the reasons behind your decision for granting some kind of amnesty to these bandits. Sorry, it appears that your device is muted. Maybe that can be muted so that we can hear you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Now we can hear you. Go ahead, please, sir.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Thank you for having me. Yesterday, precisely in the evening at Benangwari, we were able to conclude our discussion with the relevant stakeholders, that is the Benangwari community, including the mayor of Benangwari, as well as the people of Benangwari, where the bandits of course, you would be aware that this arrangement was in the process in the last six months precisely. We've been on this thing in the last 6 months, and thankfully, yesterday we were able to come to a conclusion where the bandits dropped their own arms and, of course, embraced peace. Of course, for me, it's a major achievement by Kaduna State government. Most of these bandits are known by the people of Benangwari local government because they are born there, they were raised in Benangwari. So, but of course, we believe it's a way to go. If we could not be able to achieve the kinetic approach, we should also look at both kinetic and non-kinetic approach. And I'm happy we are now achieving some successes. Only last 2 weeks, as part of the agreement, they were able to release at least 106 people that were kidnapped by the bandits.
So does it mean that they were on the military or the security agencies were unable to capture, arrest, or demobilize these bandits? That's why you and your government are looking at this alternative measure.
No. Maybe you did not listen to my statement at the occasion yesterday. It's a process that took almost 6 months precisely to reach this position. And of course, as you are aware, Benangwari is one of the most critical local government in terms of banditry, kidnappings, and insurgency in Kaduna State, or I can say in the Northwest. But of course, when I came in, I made it clear to everyone that the most important agenda of our government is to ensure that we bring back peace. Agriculture contributes about 42.8% of our GDP, and of course, most of our farmers hardly go to farm because of this problem of banditry and kidnappings. Our small businesses have been affected, and of course, a lot of people lost their lives. And of course, this problem have been in Benangwari in the last over 10 years, precisely. And of course, like I said, it's a joint effort between Kaduna State government. We initiated this effort, but we also partner with the federal security agencies, that is the Office of the NSP, the military, the Air Force, the Army, and all the relevant security agencies. So it's a collective effort. And what we did yesterday, the program at Hill, we embarked on ensuring that the bandits came themselves, and the process of disarmament, demobilization, and integration is in the process. Of course, like I said.
Now, let me ask: does it mean that these bandits have totally been forgiven of all their crimes?
No, I'm not talking about forgiving or not forgiving. But of course, as a governor, when you're elected by a people, you listen to what the people want. Like I said, we sat down with the people of Benangwari local government, at the Emir of Benangwari, who have been part of this process. He's someone that have been witnessing this very unfortunate incident in the last 10 years. And he was the person who actually welcomed this development. And as a governor, for me, the most important agenda of our government is protect the lives and properties of all. That is what I said. The approach is not just about forgiving people or not forgiving them. The most important thing is bringing peace to the people of Benin.
I mean, one thing that will come to mind is that if these people are called repentant bandits and they have been reaccepted to the society, the question is that some of the offenses or the crimes that have been alleged to have committed include banditry, terrorism, kidnapping. These are federal offenses which are not in the purview of the state government. They are federal offenses. So the question is whether or not you and your government have the prerogative or the power to be able to let them off the hook. Okay. It seems that we lost the connection there. I will try to reestablish connection with the governor of Kaduna, Senator Sani, whom we have been having conversations on the repentant bandits that have been received by the governor of Kaduna State. I understand that he's back with us. Your Excellency, my question was whether or not the prerogative of your state government, yourself as a governor, is right in the sense that some of the offenses they committed allegedly in the realm of federal offenses, terrorism, kidnapping, and whether or not it's within your powers to be able to let them off the hook.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Your Excellency. Please go ahead.
Okay, so like I said, this is a joint effort between Kaduna State government, the Office of the National Security Advisor, all the relevant government agencies at the federal level. All of us are working together to ensure that we succeed in this effort to bring peace to our communities. Of course, in the last 10 years, we've been witnessing this very unfortunate incident of banditry, kidnappings, and insurgency in our own localities, particularly in the rural areas that I just told you has affected hundreds of thousands of our people. And that has also brought about a lot of poverty in our own communities because our people are farmers, they cannot go to farm. But to this year, as I'm talking to you, I have not at the moment our people go back to farm. Yesterday, I opened the market, the cattle market in Binongwali, and everybody in that community was happy. Let me give you an example. In the last 6 months, when we started this discussion, our people traveled from Kaduna to Binongwali without any fear. Nobody was kidnapped. Nobody was attacked. Nothing happened. And for me, it's a positive sign. As a governor, let me be very frank with you. It's about coming out with a solution. I don't care about politicizing issues. If at the end of the day, I'm able to protect my people, ensuring that they can go to farm, our people can work freely, that is the most important thing. Any other thing, as far as I'm concerned, is secondary. The most important responsibility for me as a governor, when I was elected, I promised the people of Kaduna State I will bring back peace to our own states. Let me give you an example. Today we had a town hall meeting, and I talked to all the traditional rulers within the Southern Kaduna as is. Also, they confirmed to me in the last 4 to 5 months there have never been an issue of kidnapping, banditry, or insurgency in that. Also, for me, that is what is more important to me. Because if we continue like this and we're able to address the problem of security in our own state, we will be able to back on other important programs like enhancing education, healthcare. Because as I'm speaking with you, there are a lot of things we want to do, but we can only do them if there's peace and there's security in our own communities. Yeah. So for me, what we've done in Kaduna today, yesterday, is Kaduna model. And I want you to give us benefit of doubt. Because today, the people of Benongwari are extremely happy. Everyone is moving around. What will happen, like I said, most of these people that we call bandits in Aram, in the Benongwari, I sat down with the Emir of Benongwari who have known them. He told me, most of them were born in Benongwari. He knows their parents, he knows their families. Look, this thing that is happening at the moment, there was a mistake or something that happened in the past. Recall, there were a lot of effort in the past to address this problem, but there was trust deficit. That was what actually led to the escalation of insecurity. So we are not looking at only the problem, we are looking at the symptoms and the causes of this insecurity. So we're able to tackle the symptoms.
So, Governor Sani, yeah. So I'd like to ask, are there any kind of negotiation that came before all of this? What did they ask for? What did you give? What was it that they said? Because Bello Turji, for example, gave a lot of conditions before he could lay down his arms. So these Dogo Gide, for example, what is he asking for in return for laying down his arms?
Let me tell you. Dogo Gide and remember when they went to school, everyone was worried. And of course, I came to the national television. Remember, I had an interview with you, and I told you the difference between what we're doing in Kaduna and many other places is that we refuse to politicize this issue of insecurity because I believe we look at the root cause of this problem. We went back. Recall, only last week, when I attended the program of Sadoni Memorial Foundation, maybe you were not there, or you were, I'm sure it was reported in your channel television. I made it clear that as far back as 2015, in the northwestern part of Nigeria, we did not know anything called insurgency. We didn't know anything called banditry. We didn't know anything called kidnappings. We were only battling at, as of 2016, there was only something called cattle rustling. Remember, if you don't know the record, I'll tell you what the data. So that was what happened. That's the facts. But somewhere along the line, between 2016, 17, 18, 19, the problem started escalating because of a lot of trust deficit, because successive governments do not handle the situation very well. That was the issue. And there was trust deficit. And I can tell you, sitting here, I can tell you a lot of issues went really bad along the line. And when the Kuriga children were kidnapped, when they were returned, a lot of people, some were jubilating, some were happy, but of course, even the insecurity merchants were not happy that the children were released. So I'm trying to be realistic here. But somewhere along the line, what did I do as a government? I sat down with these children as a government and asked them what actually happened. They're children. They're between the ages of 9, 10, 11, 12, maximum 14. And they told me, sincerely, because they don't lie, they're children of 9 years. And they told me, Excellency the Governor, we had a message from these bandits. They kept us for 14 days. And I asked them, what did they tell you? What really happened? I asked them in confidence. This is the first time I'm disclosing this thing to anyone. And they told me the bandits told them the reason why they do not hurt them, they didn't do anything to them, was simply because they're children. They don't want to do anything against them. But the truth of the matter is that they also sent them to me to talk to me. That in the past, there were a lot of discussion between some of them and successive governments. And somewhere along the line, most of their people were killed by the security agencies. That could be the problem. When they started discussion, negotiation. But in this case, let me answer your question. We did not give them 1 naira. There was no monetary issue at all. Let me tell you. Most of them are tired. We sat down with them and we asked them, why do you have to continue to remain in the bush? Just attacking our people, kidnapping them. What did they do to you? These people are poor people. They are not the people governing this country. Why do you have to go and start attacking the poor people, the vulnerable, the underserved and the poor? In fact, yesterday in Beningwali, the person that received the letter on behalf of Jambros, don't forget, Jambros was the person that single-handedly kidnapped 137 children in Kodega. Only him and his gang. Yesterday, I met his father. His father received the letter on his behalf. And I can tell you, I was shocked when the father was telling me most of the things the government were saying in the TV and in the radio. So these people are also extremely, very, very, at least current in what's happening. And let me tell you, the earlier we stop politicizing this issue, the better for all of us. So what are we trying to do now? We did not just go as a government and negotiate anything. We carry particularly the Beningwari community under the leadership of the Emir of Beningwari, who have been in that seat for decades, who have been involved in many things. And he told me that all those bandits we're talking about were born in Beningwari in his presence. That's what happened. So there was no negotiation,
so Governor,
there was no monetary symbol.
Did you learn anything from what happened in Zamfara and Katsina State? These are states that have also adopted this similar measure.
Let me tell you this. The model, this is Kaduna model, is different. I beg your pardon. This is Kaduna model. Kaduna model is different from anyone. We're not just, as I'm talking to you as of tomorrow, we will start the registration of most of these people that are repentant. And of course, we have had a series of programs that we will implement. And I can assure you, as time goes on, I will tell you all our plans. I don't want to come here and tell you our plans, but I can tell you, we have plans. From tomorrow, we are going to start registering all of them. Let me be very frank with you. When they did that in Zamfara and other states are talking about in the past, that was not a process. This process took us almost 6 months. And we do not do it as a government, like I told you. We carry the entire community, the political leaders in that community, the traditional institution, the religious leaders, the youth organization, as well as the bandits. So nobody did this in isolation. So it is a world plan. That's why we call it Kaduna model. And I can assure you, by the grace of God, I have not at the moment others will adopt what we are doing in Kaduna for the lasting peace, not only in Kaduna, but in the north, generally, and by extension, Nigeria.
Governor Sani, thank you so much indeed for your time, for some of the clarity you have shared on this issue. Thank you so much indeed for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, God. Thank you.
Tonight, our attention is also on the Edo State governorship election, which was held a few weeks ago. The election saw the emergence of Senator Monday Okpebholo as governor of the state, taking over from Governor Obaseki, who has served 2 terms. Tonight, joining us is the Chancellor and the founder of the Athena Center, who will be shedding light on the center's recently released report on the Edo State governorship election. The report delves into critical aspects of the election, including the conduct of the electoral process, results compilation, the veracity of the outcome, and the integrity of the results collation methods. As the dust settles on what has been a highly discussed election, we're keen to understand the key findings, the implications for the electoral reform, and the recommendations for the future. I'm being joined by our former Minister of Aviation, Mr. Osita Chidoka, who is the founder of the Athena Center. Please located here in Abuja. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you, Sean.
Appreciate it. Yes. The last time in we had a conversation about Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi election.
Yes.
It caused a lot of uproar, and I'm very sure that you got a lot of response from it, and a lot of people who had pointed about your partisanship as though you were a politician, and whether or not they could believe, and you are giving the disclaimer on what you do presently.
Yes. So it doesn't matter what people think. Fact speaks for itself. Data is data. So if you have contrary data, you provide it. If you don't, but I will address that at the end of this conversation. So we move.
You are still a non-partisan person, or have you?
Yes. At the end of this, we will take that.
All right. Let's jump to the screen and see what we can distillate from the issues here.
Yes.
Of course, you can come, please. Yeah. And of course, let's look at some of the issues that you have raised. For example, you began your inquisition. You said a compromise by design, yes. The fragile integrity of INEX technology.
Yes.
That is how you describe the process. What brought you to this realization?
Because this is the very first time that I'm seeing a compromise, systemic effort to rig an election in Nigeria. I mean, it was done pre the beavers, pre the card reader. But now, for the very first time, I am shocked. I am totally distressed that an institution will put its reputation at stake for the purpose of an election.
Which is INEC.
Which is INEC.
So you think INEC was highly compromised there?
This is compromised by design. The election in Edo State.
Let's get a sense of this is the summary of what
this is the summary.
Lack of transparency, discrepancies in the voter
accreditation, incidents of overvoting, manipulation at the ward collation center, and result viewing portal.
These are the layers of what your findings are.
These are the layers of what we saw.
Yeah. So let's go further.
This is our methodology.
Okay.
So we requested for freedom of information INEC gave us certified true copies of EC8B, EC8C, EC8D, and the 40G. So we collected some of them from INEC, but we didn't get all. Again, this election was an election where a Sako West local government, 11 wards, was not delivered, and Ipoboka, 1 ward. So we have a total of 323 polling units that was not involved in this. We wrote to the 3 political parties and said, do you have this? PDP said they don't. Labour said they don't. We didn't get a response from APC. But none of the parties had these 343 polling units that were missing.
All right, for the sake of our viewers that are watching tonight, the forms here that we're talking about are the forms statutorily provided under the law and the rules and regulation guiding the operations of INEC. The EC8 forms, EC8A,
EC8B are the polling units, EC8Bs are the ward coalition, EC8Cs are the local governments coalition, EC8D is the state result.
So it's important for our conversation that you understand these forms, as they will provide a very good understanding into the findings of Athena Center. So these are the methodologies that you use. Let's find out. The state at the
state, this is just a snapshot. 18 local government, 192 wards, 451, 4,519 polling units, and 2.6 million registered voters.
All right. So now, from there, we saw
the INEC announced results.
This result as it was pronounced
291,000 for APC, 242,000 for PDP, and 22,000 for Labour. This is as announced by INEC.
And of course, the man that was declared winner there, the governor of Edo State, Monday Okpebolo, of the APC, who was said to have polled 291,667 votes. Well, so what are the data that we have? What do we know?
So let's start here. So from the IREF, we downloaded 4,466 polling units. Of these, 4,410 were valid. 109 were excluded because 53 polling units were not uploaded to IREF, 36 PUs were cancelled, and 14 polling units with illegible results. It could not be read. And 4 polling units result with no votes. So there was a result, but there were no votes. And then there is one EC60E, which is the polling unit result that you're supposed to put out at the polling unit. So one of the presiding officers snapped it and uploaded. And then there is a EC25E, only one was uploaded. Now, the 180 words given to us by INEC, 363 PUs were not given. Of the 4156, 164 were excluded. 10 PUs recorded as cancelled, according to INEC. 153 PUs were not accounted for. That is to say, there were no results. And 1 PU was with an illegible result. So we had 4156 polling units from INEC, but we ended up with 3,992 that were valid polling units.
So problem was that INEC didn't have all the results.
363 polling units are missing until today.
And INEC,
and we wrote to the Edo State, wrote to the National, and after that, we wrote to the 3 parties, asking them, did you get this result? But those results were on the IREF. So, but they were not given to us on the EC8B. So we didn't see the breakdown of what was recorded on the ward collation from the polling units.
So what you got now is the EC8 results, the BVAS result, and you are able to extrapolate and make sense of it. Yeah, based on what you have.
Yes. So those are the 11 wards not given by INEC, 11 wards in Esako West, 284 polling units, and 1 ward from Ipoboka, which
so
is
people should understand
units.
the implication of when we say ward. It means that it's almost like a village or hamlet in some places. In fact, in some places, it's almost a town.
It's a political unit.
Yeah.
It's created by, they have 192 in Edo State. So there are 192 wards, which constitute a local government. So the polling units are the base where everybody votes. Then there is a ward. Then it is called the residential area in the INEC lingo.
So the idea right here is these 284, because some people might be wondering, 11 wards and you have 284 polling units. The polling unit is where you go to vote. That place where you have the cubicle and all of that, that is a polling unit. And so you have all of these 284 in the 11 wards.
In Esako West.
In Esako
and then
West.
77 in 1 ward from Ipoboka.
Yeah. Now, so if you look at this, you said they gave EC8 4G.
40G is the result, that is the form that shows cancelled elections where elections did not hold. So INEC only gave us 6 polling units in the EC 40G, but there were more polling units that were cancelled.
So 3 polling units in Akoko-Edo
and 3 polling units in Ipoboha. Yes.
So that's what you have. Now, let's move forward.
Now,
so,
this is where the problem starts, and this is a serious problem. In the EC8A forms we downloaded from IREV, we accounted for 580,000 accredited voters. Mark that word, 580,000. When INEC gave us the BVAS report that we requested for, we saw 687,427 as the number of accredited voters. Now, if you go to the EC8B, the 180 they gave us, the number of accredited voters there was 541. 541,283. So 323 were missing from this, but they had 541. So if you probably sum it up, it will give you something around 580. Now, in the EC8D, the one the returning officer announced to the world as the result of the election, they had 604 accredited voters. Now, they had 577 used ballot papers. That is not in contention. 577,000 ballot papers were used. But INEC said that the people who saw the voters, the people who accredited, the people who counted the votes and recorded came with 580,000 accredited voters. But the INEC back end gave us 687. When we reviewed it, we saw that there were 794 polling units where INEC had randomly increased the number of votes. Some as much as 1,400 increased the number of votes in those polling units to get to 687. Our suspicion is that the last election, we used the BVAS as the gold standard to check for inconsistency, and you could see the inconsistency. But in this election, by this singular act of INEC, we are not able to now say what went wrong with the election, because the number of accredited voters are 100,000 more than the number of accredited voters that was accounted for at the polling unit.
So now, in essence, the BVAS machine, is supposed to be the detector. It's supposed to be the conscience of the election.
Absolutely.
It means that you use it for accreditation, and you use it for the confirmation and authorization. So you swipe your card reader on it.
Absolutely no way you will have more people accredited than the voters, because once you accredit, you vote.
Naturally, what should happen is if there are 500 people on the BVAS, and you have 510 ballot paper, you know there's a problem over voting. But in this case now, the BVAS have been tampered with. Because the results, all the manual results are saying different.
Something less from the BVAS.
So the BVAS is on its own.
And these 794 polling units with inflated BVAS records were predominant in the central and southern senatorial zone. So from Esan North, Ipoboha, Oredo, Esan Central, Umode, and Akoko-Edo, up to Lagos, you will see a high number of BVAS accreditation is the brown one. It is much higher than the EC8A accreditation, EC8B accreditation.
Which is an anomaly.
Big anomaly. And this is, for me, the most egregious act of the INEC. Because the fundamental principle of the election is that the accreditation by the BVAS is supposed to be sacrosanct. It's supposed to be the determinant of what happened. Now, the INEC back-end server is saying that the people who saw the voters, the people who accredited them, did not record it correctly. So that we are the ones who recorded it correctly.
Let me allow you to explain better to Nigerians. So EC8A is the result sheet that you saw that the INEC from the polling
that was
unit,
uploaded.
When the result was announced, when you were hearing APC, PDP, Labour Party, and at the end of the day they said 1,200 people came to this polling unit, these people voted this party, these people voted this party. It means that most of the results that you saw on the EC8A are way lower, which is supposed to tell you exactly the number of people. And those results were the results posted
So this is
on the polling unit
wall. Here is that the polling units, the 794 polling units. This is it here. The EC8A recorded 81,000, EC8B recorded 112,000, EC8, the BVAS recorded 223,000.
That's about
yes.
double
of those
of the
794 polling units.
Yeah.
Yes. Despite that inflation, we still went through all the polling units and we still saw overvoting because they did it in 794 polling units. So there was about 2,000 plus polling units where they didn't increase the BVAS. So here again, we saw overvoting in Ipoboha, in Esako East, in Akoko Edo, Esako West, and Ovia North local government and Ego. So it was rampant across the state, but it was highest in the central and the south, and some of the northern local government. So party votes distribution. Of the inflation we saw, APC got 24,000 votes, LP got 1,254, and PDP got 14,000 votes. That is of these polling units where the discrepancies have been noticed between the BVAS and the EC8A accreditation.
EC8B, yes.
This one is where the EC8A is higher than the BVAS accreditation. Now, then we saw that despite that error, 140 PU, 75% of the 186 polling units with overvoting were transferred to Form EC8B. So what it meant is that when the results came to the ward collation, the ward collation officer ought to have looked at the BVAS physically, confirmed the number on it, and then enter the results. But they didn't do that. They transferred this overvoting to the EC8B. So again, we have BVAS accreditation at 17,000, EC8B at 25,000, total vote cast at 25,084. So, and of that, APC got 14,000, LP 1,003, and PDP 7,926.
In that discrepancy.
In that discrepancy. Now, we observed that 32,000 votes over what was recorded in Form EC8A for APC in 328 polling units were added. We also observed a reduction in the PDP votes in 227 of that 228 polling units. So now, 328 polling units where APC votes were inflated. So in Oredo, in Akoko Edo, in Ego, in Ipoboha, and in Esan North. Now, you come here, PDP votes were reduced in these places, Oredo, Akoko Edo, Esan North, and Ipoboha. So if you look at this, what I call the flashpoint, APC votes were inflated by 44,917. In EC8B, that's what it became. In EC8A, they had 12,633. Now, in EC8B, in these 328 polling units, they rose to 44,917. PDP votes were 15,732 in EC8A. They reduced it to 6,795 in EC8B.
But the trend and the pattern is showing that there is an advantage to the APC votes.
Yes.
And there is a disadvantage to the
PDP.
PDP more.
Labour
Party,
yes.
Labour Party has less of the impact, but PDP has more
PDP
of the
was
impact.
Reduced. So this is what we saw in 328 polling units. There was discrepancy between EC8A and what happened in EC8B. So now, we observed that in addition, there was an addition of 2,285 votes over what was recorded in EC8A for PDP in 93 polling units. PDP got 2,285 votes additional in 93 polling units. We also observed a reduction of APC votes in 15 of the 93 polling units. So if PDP was strong here, what we saw was that APC votes were 3,015. It was reduced to 1,185. PDP votes were 3,613. It was increased to 5,898.
So this was the benefit of the PDP here.
This to the benefit of PDP.
APC lost about 2,000
votes. Yes.
Yeah.
2,000 votes over what was recorded was now added for PDP.
Perhaps
in this
to the advantage of the PDP.
Yes. In 93 polling units. Yes, we saw that. Then we observed the addition of 6,000 votes over what was recorded in Form EC8A for Labour Party in 290 polling units. So Labour Party scored 827 votes in those polling units. Then we saw 6,974 recorded for them.
So if you look at it, APC votes trend in LP inflated areas. APC had 18,555, and their votes rose to 38,775. So we suspect they may have added some vote for LP to hide what was going on.
Or Labour Party had added vote to itself.
Well,
whichever the case
may be, but it just happened that it was still in the same polling units where APC votes rose that we saw this Labour discrepancy. So I think that based on our last analysis, there was an effort to hide what was happening by destroying evidence. So INEC went ahead and damaged the beavers and then went into the votes and just scattered votes across the places. So you never really could see what happened in the electoral office. But, you know, our system is far more intelligent than that. It was able to pick some of these things up.
Now, in all of this, you are saying vote inflation at the World Collation Center have highlighted vulnerabilities in the collation process and opportunities for electoral malpractice. Now, you said you've discovered the reduction of a total of 4,740 votes for APC in 106 polling units in the World Collation.
Yes.
That is
after they added 36,000, then there was a reduction in 4,740. So net value, they got about 28,000 net votes added to them.
This is what this has shown us.
This is what this has shown us now. Now, vote reduction at World Collation, we observed 11,665 votes, PDP votes in 325 polling units were reduced. So PDP lost from 23,000 to 11,000 vote reduction in 325 polling units. So we thought that that action in the World Collation of tampering with results, what we are showing here is that, you know, this election did not just happen. It was faced with serious misdemeanor by the election managers.
And it looks to me that most of the work was done at the ward level.
At the ward level. It was done at the World Collation level. Now, these are samples of, you know, what we saw. So, if you look at this discrepancy between IREV EC8A and CTC EC8A, I will be disappointed if the judiciary in Nigeria does not say something about the fact that the CTC given by INEC was not the same thing as the IREV result that was uploaded. This happened across the local government. Now, we just put some examples here just to show you what it looks like. This is a CTC stamped by INEC, and it was totally different from the CTC.
So let's break it down.
The
CTC is a certified true copy.
Certified true copy.
Which is legally acceptable, and this is the process of which you can lay your evidence in court to make that those results are acceptable and tenable in court, compared to the one that was uploaded on the IRF. So there are differences. There are discrepancies. And what it showed also was that there are overvoting, isn't it?
Overvoting. So we saw that from the INEC received. We got this from INEC. So
there are different
accredited
results at different levels.
And different levels. So we saw the differences. We are going to put all of this on our website. So some of them we got from other third parties, and some from our own review with the EC8B. We saw the vote reductions. So these are the results from EC8A, and this is in EC8B where the votes were reduced. So
vote
we pointed out
vote inflation,
overvoting, and discrepancies. This is the most egregious of the discrepancies. It is in the same standard with what happened to the beavers. For the beavers to say that they have 674,000 against 580 is a major destruction of the trust of Nigerians in the electoral process. So this one is another egregious behavior. The resident electoral officer, the people who worked in Edo State, who gave certified true copies of results that were different from what they uploaded to the IRF. I mean, it's totally egregious. So this is what we found. So this is our verdict, right? The result of the Edo election cannot be deemed credible because it failed to meet our basic integrity standards due to substantial interference in the electoral process by the umpire.
This interference, you are linking it to INEC. INEC at what level?
Evidence of systemic rigging observed in this election is so substantial that we cannot call the result. Because if we do the maths, I mean, if we bring out all the polling units that have no issues, and we deduct the 36,000 we gave, APC got 32,000, and the reduction in PDP and give it, PDP slightly has an edge in the election. But we cannot call it because the election fundamentally is faulty. The evidence of systemic rigging is so substantial that we think that this election should not be allowed to stand. If this stands, then there is no election in 2027.
So I'm asking this question so that we can point the fingers to whom is to blame.
Yes.
Now, in this case, we need to identify those to blame.
Yes.
This interference,
yes.
At what level of INEC do you think this would have come?
The back-end tampering with the bimodal voter accreditation system, the BVAS, is done at the national.
So there was a back-end.
There's a back-end tampering. Yes, that added votes in 794.
So BVAS can be remotely manipulated.
That's what they're telling us now, and it must be by the managers of the election. It can't be by an external person. But this was the certified true copy, stamped, signed by INEC that they gave us.
Or the other way is that, and I'm thinking for someone who understands a bit of the technology of that device, possibility that there are preloaded results before the election even happened. Because
I don't know how
the BVAS, I mean, I'm just trying to...
This is the back-end report. This is not the BVAS.
Okay. This is the back-end
report that somebody printed out.
Okay.
And gave you.
Not
the physical machine, because the physical machines ought to have been inspected by the ward collation officers. And I believe some of them did, which is why the result of the accreditation did not change. So between the EC8A and EC8B.
So this is what happened with the BVAS. This is how it works.
Yes.
The BVAS is like a telephone. You capture all of the data because it has every BVAS for every polling unit has all the records.
Correct.
And the registration and the register of everybody in the polling unit.
Yes.
And after all the process, you as the official, you're supposed to upload and send.
Yes.
Now, that's why I'm saying that whatever that was sent from the BVAS that was seen at the back end that was printed may have been preloaded, or because I don't understand.
No, it couldn't have been, because at the point when they were recording what was on the BVAS, they recorded what they
saw.
Yes, what they saw.
Okay, so I see what you mean.
What was happened at the back end.
At the back end.
Yes, that's what happened.
So we need to be finding out
who tampered with the back end.
Was it being done in Benin City or Abuja?
It was done in Abuja. Where is the clear disparities between from EC8A uploaded to IREV and INEC certified true copies? This is something to be thoroughly investigated. It is criminal. Whoever tampered with it should be held. Instances of electoral malpractices carried out by presiding and collation officers were rampant, very rampant. So go back one slide. So these are the names of the people who committed these heists.
Samples.
These are just a random sample of them. We randomly selected some. So overvoting the presiding officers, Roland, Idowu, Ekpe Mary, Idarobong, Osagi Gift. These are the people who are presiding officers. At the
under whose watch
these are tampered with. Yes, we saw overvoting. Under the sustaining overvoting, the collation officers who didn't now check what was in the BVAS before collating, these are their names: Aaron Williams, Ibrahim, and it's a national, so it wasn't from any ethnic group in particular. And then the vote inflation collation officers who now added votes at the point of collation. We listed their names.
Or who's under watch? This was what happened. Because their names, they're supposed to be in charge of the process.
Correct.
But if at their level this has happened, we need to hold them accountable.
Yes. So now,
you have also gone further.
Why
to hold some people accountable?
Controversial people to Edo State. Now, this is Dr. Nubumo Onoha. He's a resident electoral commissioner. They say he has a PhD in law. He is the honorable minister's cousin. He's a known PDP sympathizer. He's a former commissioner of lands in Rivers State. Why make him an electoral commissioner? Because under his watch, the CTC numbers are not tallying. We can't get enough of the CTC reports. All the other electoral commissioners in Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi, we got the full results. Under his watch, we couldn't get it.
That's the fault of the appointer.
Of the person who appointed him. He ought not to have been a resident electoral commissioner.
And those who also screened
him.
So if you identify some of these issues, I mean, it's also...
So now let's go to Professor Rhoda Gomos. She's a National Electoral Commissioner for South-South. Controversial. Her appointment as INEC commissioner generated so many reports. People complained that she was a card-carrying member of the All Progressive Party and a prominent political figure in Edo State. And she is the person who came to supervise the election. Professor Farouk Adamu Kuta was a Edo returning officer. He's a professor. He is from Shiroro in Niger State. Professor of microbiology. Brilliant guy. Multiple publications online. But as returning officer, he has the authority to make decisions on key issues related to voting and counting process. However, he didn't use his authority because all the protests made in the election, he didn't go into at least randomly certifying some of them to check. So we believe that he's culpable in not exercising the duty of care
under the law.
and right under the law to ensure that the electoral process is done correctly.
Let's look at what can be done. And
Now,
you have said that global standards.
Global standards. Everywhere in the world, elections are controversial. So there are mistakes, there are issues, but everybody in the world has a post-election audit to verify what is being said.
Yeah.
That's why we were waiting for days in some counties in America, because after the counting, there's a verification that is done. In the United States, Colorado, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, they compare a statistically significant sample of paper ballots to the reported results. In Germany, they manually recount to ensure this.
And you also identify
in Mexico
India.
and India.
Yeah.
I want to point out Mexico and India because they're like Nigeria. There's a formal audit involving a detailed recount and validation process for polling station certificates, starting the Wednesday after the election day to ensure consistency. So immediately after election on Saturday, on Wednesday, the recount begins. The audit by third party begins to ensure that what was announced is what is correct. India have a random selection of their slips and is matched with the electronic voting machine to be sure that the results are good. Canada does it under their judiciary. They review the results. So everybody does it.
Yeah.
So this is what we suggested for Nigeria. We can institutionalize, leverage technology, comprehensive validation, but we need a governance structure. So the next slide.
Yeah.
We now want to talk about INEC, investing in technology, building public confidence, promoting accountability, strengthening the institution. But more important, we think and we believe that the president needs to listen to this. He needs to reorganize and depoliticize INEC. INEC as an institution has lost credibility. The election in Ondo, nobody cared in Nigeria. People didn't know there was an election going on. People didn't care because people just felt this was it. So appointing commissioners and electoral officers based on merit and integrity is critical. Yeah. And then they must implement a technology governance system. The National Assembly must make a rule on how these third-party audits must occur after election. And then mandatory post-election audits. We must start the day after the election. We have 7 days. INEC has 7 days to review. We need to review 7 days. And then we need to restore electoral integrity. And we need to limit INEC's discretion in collation and result management. So I think we should do away with local government and collation and the local government and state collation. We should just do the basic result from the polling unit, uploaded straight to the IREV, and from there to the result collation center. And then we can verify what happened against it. But they need to legislate against electoral mismanagement. People can't just keep getting away with
without holding them accountable.
And
Electoral
for me,
Offences Commission.
looking at this, I'm thinking that any political party that goes for a 2007 election under this election management system is doomed to lose. The election is a fait accompli. It's done because they can tamper with the beavers at the back end. They can print different result sheets and give them. And for me, I'm committing to making sure that we make these things work. So today, earlier today, I just sent a letter to my ward in Anambra State, resigning officially from the PDP. I'm taking a non-partisan state. I'm leaving the PDP. I'm leaving politics for some time. I'm focusing on the Athena Center. I will work in concert with other Nigerians who want us to reform the political system, to bring evidence-based governance, and to support it. So effective today, I'm no longer a member of the People's Democratic Party.
Wow, that's a big announcement and breaking news. Osita Chidoka is out of the People's Democratic Party. But kudos and well done to you and your colleagues at the Athena Center. We're looking forward to the Ondo report.
Yes,
and of course,
the
the report, of course, is on the Athena Center website. You can go there and find it. Thank you so much, Osita Chidoka. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you,
but that's our show for tonight. If you have other results different from all the reports, different from this, you can bring it on. That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'll see you on Sunday, God willing. God bless Nigeria.